It doesn't seem like that many years ago that really I didn't know anything about autism. The people on the spectrum is just overwhelming. And the services that we now provide got its start the same way that the ARC got its start, with a group of parents getting together.
My son is 24 years old, and when he was just 2 years old, he was diagnosed, and really there was nobody around with autism. You couldn't find anybody that knew anything about autism.
I had no clue what autism was, and he didn't come with a rule book either, so we had to figure it out on our own.
We thought to ourselves, there's no help here. There has to be more than this.
At that point, as a parent, you just want information, and you want a place to be able to safely talk about what you're going through, because you don't really know other people that are dealing with the kinds of issues that you're dealing with.
When I first started, I had a certain caseload of people with all different disabilities, a few people with autism, but I started to get an increased amount of phone calls from families who had just had a child diagnosed with autism, or PDD as they called it often at that time, and they were very desperate for help.
Joe was a client of the ARC of South Norfolk County, and a few years into it, when he was 7 or 8, the idea came up to found an autism resource center at the ARC, and we were really delighted because it was something right in the community.
I had a wonderful mentor in Jane Campbell-Smith, and she had been around in the early days of the ARC and saw it grow from a very small parent movement into a larger movement.
She was probably one of the classiest ladies I've ever met, and she took me under her wing and taught me how to advocate.
Our first meeting was with a gentleman named Steve Brown, and he was showing us how we could put together a program and how we needed to raise funds, and my first thoughts were, oh my God, how are we going to do that?
We had a huge tag sale, which was the craziest thing I've ever been a part of. We had more donated items.
We filled this place with everybody's stuff from floor to ceiling.
It's comical to look back on. The tag sale was the biggest thing. We also had softball tournaments, which was really fun, and we had activities for the kids, and the parents really enjoyed getting their families involved. People felt like they had something they could do.
Even though it was around fundraising, we really developed a bond, and we would laugh and we would talk about our kids throughout it, and so that's when the community feeling started to grow.
As long as you're paying attention and focusing, I think you'll be able to. The biggest goal is that they want their child to be part of the community, and they don't want to feel isolated, and a lot of families are, and so it's our aim is to say, no, you're not isolated. There's a lot of people out there, and we're happy to help you meet those people. One of the big passions is the outdoors, so we've started a hiking program here. We've also started some kickball programs for adults. We have a cooking skills group going on right now.
Sibling groups, the fathers group, the teenage transition group. There's something for everybody.
We do a good job of collaborating with community partners as well as our sister agency LifeWorks. We've also partnered with them on some community events. We were at a local rock climbing place.
I just want to say that one more thing. It's a beautiful place, and I really love going to the dances so much. But the most thing I'm really into is bowling.
Having worked here now for 25 years, I find that I can still propose any program that might be needed by any family, and that we could at least consider creating something.
I was a firefighter when we first joined the group here, and back in 2003, the goal of the Family Autism Center was to develop a first responder training. So I attended a training at Curry College. And after leaving the training, I felt, wow, I could do this. ALEC is a group of first responder parents that teach their peers about autism. And today we've trained over 36,000 first responders in 38 different states.
And that's what it's about. Advocacy is about people really taking control of the future, being empowered, and I think the Support Center really reflects that in many ways.
It is the role of the ARC of South Norfolk and the role of the ARC overall in the state to help be a service provider for people on all levels of the spectrum of autism, to be that place that's advocating for their needs, advocating for their increased supports that they're all going to need, being the sounding board and the place for people to come, to listen to have a steering committee, a grandparents group, SIBS groups, and any other things. That is a place where people feel that they can call home.
It's important for helping the families whose children are just getting diagnosed get on the right track. And really, the whole adult services for autism is really a new arena.
That's what we refer to as falling off the cliff, because the level of services in the adult world is far different than it is in the children's system.
It was 600 in 2008, students in Massachusetts turning 22 needing adult services. Today, it's 950. That's a 50% growth in 8 years.
Family Autism Center came from a group of parents who got together looking for assistance, just like the founders of this organization. However, we need the next generation to step up, and their volunteerism around leadership can be there to advocate for people's needs.
The Family Autism Center and the ARC of South Norfolk County have always been near and dear to our hearts because they're right here in the community, and we see the value of what they offer, and we've really much benefited from it. It's an invaluable resource.
I look at it as when our son Ted was first diagnosed, we had nowhere to turn, and now new families do have a place to turn.
I would like to thank the ARC of South Norfolk for giving Family Autism Center a home to all of us parents, that we come and feel comfortable, and wonderful staff that work here. I call them my angels from above, because they don't do it for the money, that's for sure. They do it because they want to do it.
We're known as the place to go to for people with autism.
Parent-to-parent support is the single most important thing we've done.
You know, 20 years is a long time, but looking back and seeing how things have changed during that time, it's very satisfying to know the efforts have made a big difference.
That's why the Family Autism Center has been such a huge success. That's why our organization remains a success. And so on behalf of all of our staff, I want to always thank our families that we support, and know that you motivate us to want to keep doing more every day.